Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast, part of the Bet Rivers Network for a Football Friday, Week 6, which began in jubilant fashion. The Giant fans last night on what was a very tough night for the Eagles, but I think Giant fans hope, despite the toughness of the schedule and the challenges that are going to come at Denver, at Philly, at the Lions, etc., that they are turning a corner here. And the statement I will make today is these kids, led by Dart and Skattebo, have not only energized the entire franchise, but they're good enough and tough enough and confident enough to keep to keep Dable's job. I didn't see that coming. I didn't think that Dart would be able to do that. And he has come in with a defiant attitude where I liked what he's listen, I don't need all the antics. I love Skattebo as a player. Love him. But he doesn't need to taunt players and he doesn't need to do triple flips in the end zone. He could lose that. But I don't want to take any of the feistiness and the toughness. And the thing you saw last night that opened the eyes of the NFL and what the NFL was talking about was that Skattebo was breaking tackles from the Eagles play after play down the stretch of that game. The Giants wanted that game more. The Giants played the second half like they wanted that game more. And it's been a long time since the Giants have played with that kind of conviction. And I think what's happening with the defense now is they're looking at the offense and saying, hey, we have players. We have players. And give Dable credit because they utilized their personnel yesterday, especially in the passing game, far better than they have in a long time. And we've been waiting for that to come, and it came yesterday. But that game was about Dart's toughness and his coolness and calmness. The only thing I have a problem with Dart is don't send him on superfluous runs. Don't run out the clock with him running the football. Don't overrun him because you're going to get him hurt. He'll scramble, he'll run. He's going to run. There's no question. I hate to say this right now, and I don't mean this with any comparisons, but he is playing like Josh Allen played when he first came in the league, with a reckless abandon of a young Colt and with a boldness. And you knew Skattebo, and this is why I told you I loved Skattebo. Before the Giants ever drafted him, I said I had two players I highlighted this year. Warren, who's been brilliant for the Colts, and Skattebo as the two guys that I wanted this year. I never knew the Giants would get Skattebo. When they did, I was delighted. I think he'll be a huge star in New York. And he brings an energy and a toughness to the team that it so badly needs. That it's actually fun to watch the Giants again. And that's going to elevate the Giant population in the stadium. That's going to bring people back to the ballpark. That's going to bring people back to the games. The Giants aren't going to be the extra game anymore on TV, which the Giants have been very upset about. The Giants hate when the fifth team comes into their game. They were used to getting Summerall and Madden their whole lives. They don't want to be the fifth game on the Sunday card. That bothers the heck out of them. They're a proud franchise, even though they've been inept. But you have to be thrilled by what you've seen the last couple of weeks. And it wasn't that they didn't move the ball against the Saints. If they hadn't turned the ball over, they could have won that game. Now I'll actually be interested in what they do the next couple of weeks. I think they're going to be a fascinating watch. The Jets will open up the Sunday schedule. obviously in London. What the Jets have to be afraid of, and what Aaron Glenn has to be afraid of, is that he loses this team in the next 2 weeks. If this team doesn't play a competitive game in 2 weeks, it'll shatter. And it will be a very, very tough season. And he'll have his trouble talking his way through this season. Denver's 3-3, but they're not a 3-3 team. They could easily be 5-0. They're a really good team. They're going to be very hard to move the ball against. The Jets are going to have to throw the ball, and they're going to take the number one receiver away, and the Jets don't have a number two. Mason Taylor's been playing well at tight end, but they don't have a lot of weapons against what Denver's going to present. I think this is going to be a very tough game. Cards and Colts, game time decision on Murray, who's got a foot injury. Sounds like he did practice some today. He will go. Colts have been terrific. They really have. Jones has played well. Taylor's played great. Warren's played great. Pittman's played really well. They've been consistent. The Cards are desperate for this game. They've had a lot of injuries at running back. They've had a lot of controversy on their sideline. They need a big performance here. I'll be fascinated by the next game, Seattle and the Jags. The Jag defense has forced 14 turnovers. That's 4 more than anybody else in the league. You force turnovers in this league and you win. Case closed. They're 4-1. Yes, Trevor Lawrence made plays last week, but the Kansas City Chiefs made so many mistakes that are so unusual for them, especially in the special teams. And listen, you have heard me wax poetic about Chris Jones for years. If you watch the video of Lawrence falling down and what Chris Jones did on that play, it's embarrassing. It's an indictment. And I think he will be nuts on Sunday night because that was an indictment. He's a Hall of Fame player. That's an indictment. He didn't move. He did not move a muscle. You go watch the play, and you will not believe what you see. Seattle, Donald's playing really well. He's got good receivers. Jacksonville is playing really well defensively. The problem about this game is Jacksonville's coming off such an exciting win on a short week. They have to be mature enough to come back and play a good game because Seattle's going to give them a good game. Chargers are in Miami. I have not seen a year where teams that had good years planned have been more ravaged by injuries. The Chargers have lost 2 running backs, their 2 top running backs, and 4 offensive linemen, and players on defense. I don't know if they can recover. Miami is 1-4, and there's a lot of buzz that if they don't play well this week, there could be changes in Miami. They had a 17-0 lead last week, and they lost to Carolina. The Chargers have been ravaged. I mean, we know there's a lot of teams ravaged by injuries right now. Some are surviving it, some aren't. Pats made a huge statement beating the Bills. Now they have to go on the road and beat a team they should beat because that puts you in a different class in this league. When you go on the road and win the games, you got to win. May has played well. He's played very well. Vrabel has brought to that team what you expected him to bring to that team. Let's see just how good the Pats are. Cleveland at 1-4, at the Pittsburgh at 3-1. Look at that division. Pittsburgh with Ravens problems, and Lamar Jackson's not playing again this week, and they're playing the Rams, and they got like 7 starters out. Pittsburgh has a chance with a win this week, and they have to guard against the Cleveland pass rush, which is really good, and make sure because Rodgers doesn't play as well anymore when he's under duress. But the Steelers should make enough plays on offense and defense to win the game, and the Steelers have a chance to run away and hide in that division. Cowboys at Carolina. Dak has played tremendously well. The offense has been superbly called. The defense is dreadful. Carolina gets off the slow starts and makes big rushes. They've won 2 games at home. I think this game is a real shootout. I think there's going to be a high-scoring game. I think there's going to be a lot of passing in the game, and I think it could go right to the wire. Rams are 3-2. Let's be honest. They should be 5-0. They lost to the Eagles on the last play when they had a winning field goal blocked. They lost to the Niners when they fumbled the ball on the 1-yard line, going in with the winning score. They gave away 2 games. They have to be crushed by what they've done. Now they get the Ravens. Lamar's not playing. They have a bye next week. They hope to bring him back in 2 weeks. They're going to be 1-5 when they bring him back. The odds of making the playoffs, even with the Ravens at 1-5, is tall because the Ravens don't just have a Lamar Jackson injury. They have so many players hurt that there's no way they can put a full team together the rest of the year. They've lost like 7 or 8 guys. I think their season's going to fall apart. Titans 1-4 at the Raiders 1-4. The Raiders have been a big disappointment. Geno Smith's already thrown 9 interceptions. He's played terribly. They have had trouble using Gentry. He had 1 big game so far. Bowers is out this week, but they're playing the Titans, and I would think Pete will put together a defense with a lot of different looks, with a lot of pre-snap. Okay, he'll show him one thing and then jump into a different defense. He'll make him make a lot of changes at the line of scrimmage. I think he will confuse them enough that the Raiders should get a comfortable win, and they need one in the worst way. Pete needs one in the worst way. I think they'll get it. I think Gentry will run it, and I think their defense will come up with a couple of turnovers. Since he's going to Flacco, which to me is not a great move. Can Flacco throw the ball? Yes. Chase might not even play. He's a game-time decision. He's listed as questionable right now. They're going to play Green Bay off a bye. They're going to play Green Bay off a terrible tie against the Cowboys. They're going to be looking to flex their muscles. Flacco always puts a couple up for grabs. Cincinnati, their season went down the night Burrow went down. Let's be honest. San Francisco is a team that has had incredible amounts of injuries and has overcome it because Mac Jones has played so well in Purdy's absence. He starts again this week. And the Bucs have done an incredible job. They have a lot of injuries, but Baker Mayfield's played like an MVP. And the kid out of Ohio State, as I told you, was going to be a big receiver. He has had a sensational year. This is going to be a fun game, right to the wire. Either team can win, but they're both 4-1. One's going to come out of there 5-1 and in great shape. The Sunday night game is a must watch if you're a football fan. Lions 4-1. Chiefs 2-3. Now, I told you at the start of the season, the Lions had issues on the offensive line. They were breaking in 6 new coaches. They were breaking in 2 new coordinators. They went out the first night and got whacked by Green Bay. And everyone said, oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. Since then, they have played tremendous football. Now they come in a little banged up in the secondary against a Kansas City team that I think offensively put it together last week with Worthy back. See, I think the Chiefs did enough to win last week. They just made so many mistakes in that game that are not Chief-like, and they gave a game away to Jacksonville. They need a win here. I mean, if they go to 2-4, things are going to start to get a little antsy for them. Even though a lot of teams are coming back to the pack, like the Ravens and the Chargers, teams that you considered automatic playoff teams this year. That's not happening. But they need the game, and I expect Chris Jones, off the abuse he's taken, and rightly so, for his actions. I think he'll play big. I think that Lions, who like to play a lot of man, won't play as much man against the Chiefs because the Chiefs will carve up their man. Andy Reid against man is deadly. And I wanna see how much pressure the Lions try to put on Mahomes, because that's the way to beat Mahomes. Bills and Falcons, hey, I don't love the Falcons, but the Bills have not been impressive. They really haven't. Now, we've seen them do this before and then turn it on. Let's see what week they start to turn it on. Their defense has got to get better. Their offense has got to stop making mistakes. They haven't been overly impressive. And then I like the Monday night game, the second Monday night game. One starts at 7, one starts at 8. Bears at Washington. Seeing those two young quarterbacks, we're both going to light it up. I think Caleb Williams, especially to Adunze, is a great combination. It's going to be a lethal combination for years to come. I think he's a productive quarterback. I think Daniels is about to break out. I'm figuring this is the week Daniels takes the safeguards off. He's had a hip injury. He's been playing very cautiously. They're 3-2. The Eagles have come back to them. They know they can win this division now. I think you're going to see a Washington team really start to explode here. And I think you're going to see Daniels go into the vintage mode where you saw him last year, where he was unstoppable on offense. I think it starts with this game here. I expect a big effort out of the Chiefs, and I expect a big effort out of Washington on Monday night. I really do. And I think those are a lot of good games to watch. I think anytime you get to see the Bills is good. Lions and Chiefs going to be terrific. And the Bears and Washington is going to be a very interesting game. Very interesting game. On Sunday, you got Seattle and the Jags. I think is going to be a terrific game. Other than that, I think the Bucs and San Francisco go back and forth. And has anybody been better late in the game than Mayfield has? You know who else is off to a tremendous start this year? Sam Darnold in Seattle. 9 touchdowns, 3 intercepts, throwing for a lot of yardage. He's done a great job. He really has. He really has found a home. And think about it. 2 guys who were just almost run out of the league. Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield have become 2 of the biggest stars in the league now. You got to develop young quarterbacks. Where they land and who gets their hands on them first makes a huge difference in their careers. Without any question. So we will see a Sunday night after the Jets, a Sunday morning after the Jets. And then we will see a Sunday night after the Lions and the Chiefs to wrap up the day. But we'll see you early with, when the Jets and Denver play. I don't have a lot of high hopes for the Jets this week. I really don't. I don't think that game will be close late. I'd be surprised. I'd be very surprised if it is. I think it's a very rough matchup for the Jets to walk into. Very tough. And Sean knows he gets this one. His team is starting to look like a playoff team. He gets some rest, and he can get back to work. I think this is a game where he's going to be very tough and having a very aggressive game plan offensively and defensively. So we'll see you Sunday morning.